Hi guys, here are my 11 top work from home productivity tips for you. These are very simple hacks that you can implement to maximize productivity when working remotely. This is especially relevant today as more and more companies are embracing this new trend since the coronavirus saga. Without further ado, let's get on to it. Here are my best remote working tips and tricks after spending almost 2 years working from home for an overseas company. Make sure to watch all the way until number 1 as I've got a fun trick that I've discovered recently. Number 1 is to have a designated workspace for yourself. Ideally, you should have a place with less distraction where you can fully focus on your work. And I would highly discourage you from changing places from time to time, because with new places there comes a new set of obstacles that get into the way. For example, if I'm working in a room today and the electric socket is just near to me, and tomorrow I move to another room where the electric socket is a bit further from my laptop, so I will need to think about getting an extension cord, and every time I go to that room I have to take that cord together with me and plug in my laptop charger, turn it on, etc. This may sound like little small things, but there's little bit more time spent on the infrastructure rather than getting your actual work done. Number 2, one of the very important things that you will need when working from home, working remotely, is the internet. You can't afford to have a bad connection, and ways how to improve on that is to have the best telco company, and within your house it would be good to have your modem in the same place as where you're working. Not only will you get the strongest signal, but also if there's a need to restart the modem, it is just right next to you and you could just press on a button without walking out of the room and going to that modem to restart it. But if you're in a position whereby you cannot move the modem, then you might as well invest in a Wi-Fi range extender if your connection is not that stable in your room. Number 3 is something that I would highly discourage people from doing, and is to work from your bed. Especially after just waking up, you might just feel sleepy, and if you stay on bed, you are still in that sleepy mode. Back when I first started remote working, I was spending some time working from the bed, but I found out with time that this was not the most productive thing for me, because as soon as I woke up, then I would be on the bed and the mind is still in that state of sleep. Whenever we go to the bedroom, our brain automatically kicks into the sleeping mode. It would be best if you break that cycle by getting out of the bed, moving around, and go to another room to do your work. Not only it's bad for your productivity, but it's also bad for your back. So when I started, I had a lot of back pain after a few weeks of working from the bed. How did I overcome my back pain is to follow a regular set of exercises, which I'll leave a link down in the description box below if you want something for your back pain. Now, number 4 is a major distraction in today's world, and that's none other than your phone. It comes with all the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Snapchat, and all the TikTok nowadays. You might be focusing deeply on your work, but then if a simple notification sound or message comes in, and immediately you would want to know who is the person that messaged you or like your photo or like your Instagram, so it disrupts your activity. So where you were going to spend 5 minutes to do a task, you can eventually end up with 10 minutes doing the same task. My suggestion is to keep your phone on silent mode, or even leave it in another room so that you don't have direct access to it. Another thing that I do when I don't want to walk out of the room to put the phone in another room is to simply put my phone behind my laptop. In that way, I don't see it, and then I'll soon not be bothered about it anymore, and I won't be checking it unless it vibrates. So turn off vibrations also, unless you have something urgent coming. Number 5, take breaks. It's very important to take breaks. Sometimes when we work from home, we tend to discount our break time. But for me, I get 1 hour lunch break every day, and I would use it to the max. Sometimes it's good to break out from the routine of just staying in the house as well. You could just go outside, breathe in some fresh air. Once a week, I'll be going to the city center, which is just 5 minutes from my place. I'll be buying some food to eat, or even going to the bank to do some stuff. It kind of breaks the routine of always being in the same environment, it brings about a fresh list of energy for you to continue working. Number 6 is another major distraction is interruptions from family members. Now, if you have kids, then that might be more difficult, but for me, right now I don't have kids, but it's still challenging sometimes because when working from home, people see you on your laptop. They don't straight away see it as work. They might see it as surfing the web and stuff like that, because that's a general thinking. So occasionally, sometimes you might get yourself into having to go and throw the dustbin or cleaning some parts of the room. Sometimes this simple task can lead to discussions and arguments, which in turn decreases your productivity. So one thing you need to highlight to your family members is to have clear instructions or guidelines as to from what time to what time you'll be working and that you won't be available. Another way in which you can lessen these distractions is linked back to point number 1, where you have a designated area where nobody else will come in except you. In that way, you'd minimize the contacts with other people. By the way, if you're liking our work from home tips and tricks, do give us a thumbs up and do let us know how you on your side you work from home and increase your productivity. If you're getting value out of this video, do subscribe to our channel for more travel videos and how to cope with life as a millennial in general. Number 7, another thing that could distract you when working from home is noise. Noise are everywhere, and it could be coming from your apartment, your neighbors renovating his house, somebody mowing the lawn, or simply traffic vehicles going to and fro. And sometimes what happens is like you might hear something, you might want to go to your window to check out what is happening, and then you found out that nothing is happening. You go back to your desk and you hear another thing again, you walk back, and the cycle repeats sometimes. But know that every walking to the window will actually decrease your productivity. What's the best way to overcome this is to use noise cancelling headphones. In that way, you will not be hearing external noise that much, depending on your settings. Check the link in the description box below for recommendations of noise cancelling earphones too. When we work from home, of course, we don't have that face-to-face interactions, so we rely on messages to get our messages across. But one thing is that messages can be very ambiguous sometimes, and hence you will have to be precise when messaging people. And also be mindful of your words and of the punctuations or emojis, because sometimes you could, for example, mistakenly put on the caps lock and then write something to someone. But then on the receiving end, you have to think about how people are receiving it. Do they think that you are angry by telling this? Or probably it's just a typo? Even though these might not look like big right now, but it could lead to consequences which you don't want to deal with later. Tip number 9 is to call people instead of writing messages. This is because messages can be interpreted in different ways, but the best way to communicate is still through verbal communication in my thinking. So I would normally call people more instead of writing more. But also when you're calling, I would really suggest to share your screens. In that way, the person on the receiving end can know exactly what you're looking at, and it might be easier for them to know what you're talking about. And this will greatly reduce the risk of misinformation. Number 10 is something that you would need to do even without working from home, even if you're in an office setting, is to write down a list of the tasks that you need to do on a specific day, so that after you tick off one task, you can immediately go to the next task without spending the time to think about what's the next task that you should be doing. So only after completing all the things on your list, then you can think about what's next. This is just basic task management. And last one in this list of productivity tips for working from home, our last and bonus fun tip is to use Spotify instead of YouTube for music. If you're like me and like you listening to music while working, I would strongly recommend you to use Spotify instead of YouTube, because YouTube has videos, and not only it will eat on your bandwidth, but also you might have potential distractions, especially if you want to change songs and you go to YouTube and then you find another interesting video that you might want to look at. So you might end up saying, oh, I'll watch 1 minute of this video. Then you click on it, then you're so engrossed into it. Next thing you know, you're watching the whole video. And this results in 5 minutes of less productive work. Do you have other productivity tips for remote working? Make sure to comment down below, as we all try to increase our productivity during work from home. Make sure to give us a thumbs up, share this video to someone who might be working remotely and is facing challenges, and do click on the subscribe button with the bell notification click for all of our future videos. Thank you, goodbye.